Man, I can only imagine the money-hungry Destiny channels out there are out in full force now, man. Leaked Destiny 2 info, pictures of Destiny 2, confirmed info from Bungie, which if the assholes just go straight to the website, take all the shit off of the fucking website, yet they make a goddamn video about that shit, man. Oh, man, these cancerous fucking channels must be like, it's Christmas in June, motherfucker. To get the chance to post up all their bullshit videos over the next couple months. I mean, even the YouTube owners probably want to tell them to go fuck themselves. Now, obviously, Destiny 2 just did their grand reveal last week. YouTube channels will milk that shit for the next few months with any little bit of info that Bungie scraps out for them. Or they just start making up shit and rumors just to make a fucking video. Meanwhile, I'll play the upcoming beta, then I'll wait for the full game. Now, I already know that I'm getting it. There's no lie about that shit, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Because as the title says, Bungie can learn from Assassin's Creed. Now, over the past few years, I've made the analogy between what happened with the Assassin's Creed series compared to Destiny. How Assassin's Creed started out with an average game that disappointed quite a number of people, but it followed it up with an excellent sequel. And then right after that, Ubisoft drove that franchise into the ground. But that's another story. Destiny has the potential to follow the path of Assassin's Creed, but I've never done a full comparison until now. For anyone that remembers the original Assassin's Creed game, not all these fucking sequels and spin-offs and shit like that, but we're talking the original shit. Before the game came out, there was considerable buzz around that game. You know, it had a very interesting backdrop where you were going to be fighting as an assassin during a period where we rarely ever see in video games. The Third Crusade, about 800 years ago. In addition to the assassin part, there was some futuristic part of the game that seemed to blend with some of the game, and that led to the intrigue of what could this game be and what's the potential. Throw in the fact it was going to take in heavy inspiration from the Prince of Persia series, namely some of the game mechanics and whatnot. And Assassin's Creed really looked like it was going to be a hit game. You have action, you have a little bit of science fiction involved in that motherfucker, some mystery, brutal combat killing of a son of a bitch, with some swords and hidden blades, and an open world that promised to be quite large. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does, because Destiny really followed that same path, well, you know, outside of the historical setting and shit like that. With Bungie's pedigree on the Halo series, without even playing Destiny, you knew the shooting mechanics of the game were going to be quite possibly one of the best. And Bungie is known for being a technical studio for shooter games. A studio that always seemed to stay one step ahead of all the other shooter franchises. And they had their ideas and their visions taken by other studios and applied to their games, like Call of Duty or Resistance. You had a cool backdrop with a futuristic world under attack, a large sphere called the Traveler that has allowed this type of world to be created. While we don't have the historical battles in Destiny, the comparisons of appeal and studio pedigree are certainly there. Assassin's Creed released a number of trailers with gameplay and footage, like every other studio does, of course. I mean, in this day and age, who doesn't release their goddamn gameplay of any of their games? The footage was stunning, though. I remember one of the coolest trailers they had was where you ride into a town on horseback, and you end up fighting like 10 guards at a time. You manage to beat the shit out of all of them with a series of combos and these fucking awesome executions and shit like that. You know, throwing in some platform, which was really on point in the trailers, and it appeared the mechanics of the game were going to be pretty damn good. The only issue is that Ubisoft is fantastic at making trailers that don't have shit in the game. They didn't have fucking horses, man. Well, they had the horses to travel across the land, but they didn't have the horses going to the actual town. They didn't have platform fighting where you could scale some shit and kill a motherfucker afterwards, or the parkour type mantling of objects while running. You know, they had the climbing, but not like the hopping over of shit when you're actually running through the streets. So Ubisoft clearly tricked people into thinking all this was in the game, but it wasn't. We didn't get a good portion of that trailer in the game, but what we ended up with was a lackluster and relatively average game. After Assassin's Creed came out, most critic reviews said almost the same exact thing. Player reviews said the game was fucking horrible, but most professional reviews said things that were really right on point. Assassin's Creed had an incredible potential to be something amazing. It had the bones to be a fantastic game, but the details of the game and the implementation of the ideas were just not there. The backdrop of the story was certainly creative, with Desmond Miles as your main character and the shadowy company using his DNA to access his ancestors' memories. That was a good start. But once you got to Altair, that's where the game started struggling. While the story seemed like a mystery and finding out what was the Templars' motives and the plans, the way of actually getting there was pretty damn boring. The whole point of the game was to assassinate 9 targets and follow the same shit each and every time. The same fucking script. You collect data, you run some errands, you do mini missions, And when you've done enough of these, you can finally assassinate the target. You have the choice to do it with stealth, spending 10 fucking minutes avoiding enemies, climbing shit, jumping into bales of hay, whatever that is, or you can just walk through the front door like a badass, take on an entire army of enemies, and kill the target through attrition. 7 out of the 9 targets were basically the same shit. Only 2 targets were different, with one of the motherfuckers running away from you where you actually needed to kill him on the run, and the 9th was the last guy who was actually there waiting for you. In addition to those issues, you have also the issues with Altair. I get that he's supposed to be stoic, he's supposed to be even-keeled and basically in control of his emotions, but seriously, he came off like one emotionless motherfucker, man. He wants to be a badass, wants to be the best assassin and show off, but either the voice actor was terrible or horrible, or they gave the voice actor very little direction other than just reading some lines. He was boring. Seriously, a cool badass character that came off as boring. It made absolutely no sense at all. At the beginning of the game, Altair fucks up and basically his rank and his stature are stripped. He has to start all the way from the beginning all over again because that's like every other fucking theme of every game that's ever been started in history. Start over from the fucking beginning and do that shit all over again. After he gets stripped of his rank, he becomes a goddamn errand boy on his way to killing those 9 targets. And as I just said, in order to kill the 9 targets, you had to do the same menial shit over and over and over again. Like spy on a conversation, follow someone across town to a spot, race a fucking asshole and collect flags for some goddamn reason. Keep in mind, you're one of the most lethal human beings on the planet in this game, and you're fucking delivering someone's mail, for fuck's sake, man. Assassin's Creed had issues, but the fighting was at least on point. Well, the animations, if you will. Because basically, if you blocked every attack, you can counter every single person in the game. And climbing and traversing the map was pretty smooth. Does this all sound familiar to Destiny fans? Of course it does, because everything wrong with Assassin's Creed was wrong with vanilla Destiny. Our character has 0 personality at all. I mean, we say all of 10 fucking lines in the game, so at least Altair got to say a little bit more than we do in Destiny. In Destiny, we're basically an errand boy. We're told by the ghost to go here, told by the speaker to go there, told by Zavala, Cade, Ikora, beat these bad guys, and we do it. Absolutely no motivation at all to do something other than we're supposedly saving humanity. From what? Who the fuck knows? But we're supposed to be saving someone in this fucking game. All 20 missions, with the exception of 1 from the fucking story, are the same damn shit. Scan a door, wait for enemies, kill them, move on to the next scannable item. Even in the trailers, they mirrored each other, man. Assassin's Creed has shit in the trailer that weren't in the game. Destiny had fucking DLC scenes in their trailers that weren't in the original game. We all paid for that shit later. So just go through the checklist of similarities between these two games. Boring and lifeless main character with no personality? Check. Repetitive gameplay to accomplish the same results each time? Check. Trailer that shows us shit not in the game. Oh yeah, check that bitch. No doubt about that one. Very little motivation to see the story through other than someone's telling us what to do. Check. Open space in the map with very little to do in that open space. Check. And then on the positive side, because obviously I don't want to just harp on the negatives, do the games have excellent mechanics? Check. Cool concept for a story that could have been something amazing? Check. Did they both set themselves up for sequels right off the bat, knowing these would be long-term franchises? Check. While these are 2 different types of games, the similarities really are there, which is why I'm hoping the similarities continue with Destiny 2 and Assassin's Creed 2. When Assassin's Creed launched, it took a brunt of criticisms for their game. The studio, though, clearly listened to all that criticism. They took that shit to heart because, in part, Assassin's Creed 2 fixed just about everything across the board. For starters, the main game actually had personality. Altair was replaced with Ezio, and the setting was moved to the Renaissance era. His ascent to an assassin was detailed in the game by losing his family, finding out he was part of the Assassin's Guild to stop the Templars and shit like that. The 9-target crap was removed from the game and was replaced with a fluid story, a variety of missions, and a sprawling world with shit to do in the fucking world. You know, like mini-games to improve the town, cash to buy shit, relevant side missions, top to bottom, everything was improved in the game. And they even gave him the fucking ability to swim. Oh, motherfucker, man. Altair is a goddamn badass assassin, and he can't fucking swim? What the fuck? At least now in part 2, we can swim in this bitch, man. Anyway, after seeing the reveal of Destiny 2, I will say, I see some good things, and also naturally I see some concerns, but overall this looks like a step in the right direction. Well, I don't know if this will be a massive improvement from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2, because obviously Destiny's already had some DLC content. You know, it made improvements along the way, so I will say that it has potential to follow that path. With the content that was released from the Taken King, and obviously everything after that, Destiny's come up with some pretty good ideas and content to correct a lot of their mistakes. You know, like Ezio adding personality to the Assassin's Creed series. They gave a lot more lines to Cade after the Taken King, to act as a bit of more comic relief, as you will. Nolan North took over for Peter Dinklage and added a touch more humor to your Ghost, although I will say, Peter Dinklage's performance is not his fault. That's really the fault of the director and the writers for giving him shitty content to work with. You know, if you're not told the context of what you're saying some shit in, you basically just sound like you're reading it. And that's what it sounded like Peter Dinklage was doing to this motherfucker. Anyway, getting back into the game, you had a reason for Oryx to come and fight. That annoying three-eyed cunt Eris was given a reason to be in the game, although I could seriously do without her emo ass. So this is on the path that Assassin's Creed 2 is already on. Plus, if you include the fact that Assassin's Creed 2 had DLC missions, which are supposed to be part of the main story. You know that? They held that shit back because they couldn't complete it on time. I don't remember that. I think one of them was the War of the Roses, if I'm not mistaken. They had some type of shit like that. Anyway, it was added to DLC later, and you had to buy that shit as part of Assassin's Creed 2. You look at Destiny, they sure as fuck follow that model in this motherfucker. You know, I don't think Destiny 2 is going to reach Game of the Year levels and shit like that Assassin's Creed 2 reached all those years ago. You know, especially with Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda as the earliest contenders for that shit. You know, they're probably going to win by a wide margin. But I think we can at least get some fucking improvements, man. Yes, this is a $60 new game. Probably resembles more of an expansion pack more than anything, but you can see from the trailers there are some changes to content. But obviously, learning my lesson from Destiny 1, I'm not going to get my expectations up for this game. Honestly, I still think it's going to provide a lot of fun. It's going to provide a lot of entertainment, same way Destiny 1 did, but I don't expect a massively improved game that changes the landscape of video games and shit like that. You know, I expect them to incrementally improve Destiny. Same way we learned that with House of Wolves, then the Taken King, Taken Spring, Rise of Iron, and finally the Age of Triumph. Bungie has already been improving Destiny. So I'm guessing this will again be a nominal improvement over Destiny 1. They're going to learn from all of their mistakes while creating a whole new set of mistakes in this motherfucker. But this time it feels like they'll probably fix shit a little bit quicker. Ultimately, I do think it's going to be an improvement over Destiny 1 because Bungie has been slowly improving the game. We've been having to pay for those improvements, I get it, but they have been improving the game over the years. Sort of the same path that Assassin's Creed 1 learned. They made a lot of mistakes. They fixed it in game number 2, and that became a Game of the Year contender. That shows you that studios can learn from their mistakes, and if Bungie has learned from their mistakes, they can certainly continue to do so in Destiny 2. So while I'm not going to be like those asshole channels pumping out videos, oh, this is what we learned about Destiny 2, this is what's going to be coming, oh, get the fuck out of here, blow that shit out of your ass sideways with a fucking warlock, motherfucker. I don't give a shit about all that. All I care about, I'll pre-order the game, I'll play the beta, I'll post some footage of the beta, and then I'll make my decision down the road as to whether or not I'm going to tear Bungie new assholes. So anyways, now that I got that shit all on my system, as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.